Organic waste is the umbrella for all materials that are able to biologically decompose. And food waste is a category under that umbrella. It's one of the ones that people talk more about these days. The concept of food waste has evolved over the last 100 years. There wasn't as much packaging 100 years ago, for example. Probably after World War II, with more introduction of packaging, instead of having to be consumed right away, you could keep it a little longer because of people's schedules today. They bought it thinking they'd cook, they went out, etc. So there's that sort of scenario of just how we have evolved in our access to food, how it's packaged.
Food waste is not even waste at all. We like to refer to it as food scraps because they have energy or they have nutrient value to them. They can either be used to create biogas to use for renewable energy, and or they can be used to create compost to be returned to the earth. The flip side of that, landfilling, incinerating, is sort of ending the food cycle. It's stopping it and it's providing no real benefit. It's actually negatively impacting through more methane emissions from landfills or gunking up the system at an incinerator, producing CO2 emissions from there. So returning it to the earth, doing something positive with it has so many sort of compounding benefits. Yeah, it's just kind of a no-brainer for us at this stage.
At the top of the list, you want to feed people. So if you can capture the food that's being wasted, if it's still edible, it can be donated to people in need. Feeding animals. So we have a lot of farmers around here. So it's one way for farmers to save money on their feed and also get that material out of the waste stream. Backyard composting, small scale composting, regional composting is like the next tier of that. And then like larger scale, anaerobic digestion, so capturing food waste and creating energy with it. The last would be landfill and incineration. So we're trying to not get to that point and use all of the methods and educate people about the methods and the hierarchy of capturing food waste.
Most common question I get asked about food waste is, what do we do with it? So when someone comes to our farm and finds out that we're taking food waste, their first thought is, oh, you're feeding it to your cows. And we don't feed any of our animals food waste for various reasons, but when I explain to them that we end up turning it into renewable energy and then use it as a fertilizer, their eyes are like, oh wow, I didn't even know you could do that.
It's just amazing that nature doesn't really come up with any kind of waste. Nature uses all of its processes to create resources and food for other aspects of nature. There's no, like when you eat an orange and you take off the peel, that peel doesn't like get wasted like a candy wrapper would get wasted. That peel is now food for something else, and in most cases it turns into soil so that it can grow more oranges. So it's just beautiful the way that there's a circular nature to the environment. And I think that the more that business practices and the more that society itself sort of mimics that, the better off we'll be in terms of living healthy lives on this planet.
Where we've ended up, especially these days, as everything can be delivered, so there's no relationship to the grower, the butcher, you don't have to leave your couch. And everything has to come packaged then, just about. I'm not sure where that's going to end up in terms of food waste. I just know that it removes so many of the connections to food that it's a big question, what's next?